Think back to when you were in elementary school. Did you learn about engineering? Probably not. In fact, most of us made it all the way through high school without really understanding what engineering is. Now fast forward to 2014. Engineering is featured prominently in the Next Generation Science Standards, the NGSS, and the framework recommends that the topic be introduced to children as early as kindergarten. Educational leaders believe that engineering is important for young children. It builds science and math skills, encourages 21st century skills like creativity and critical thinking, and may help prepare students for future career success.
Children are really natural engineers, and when you watch any young child, 3 or 4-year-old at play, you can watch them building towers, and they build them and then they knock them down and then they rebuild them again. So there's a natural inclination of all people to design and improve what they do.
Engineering is Elementary is a project-based curriculum developed here at the Museum of Science Boston through the National Center for Technological Literacy. As of January 2014, the curriculum has been used in all 50 states and has reached 5 million children in grades 1 through 5. With increased exposure come wider opportunities for evaluation and research. EiE's strong research team continues to document the educational benefits of its programs.
It was very obvious when we first started engineering as elementary that we needed to have proof to back up this curriculum.
Students were asked to share how strongly they agreed with a series of statements. These statements were intended to measure a student's interest in engineering skills and jobs, as well as their attitudes towards engineering and science. Students were surveyed twice, once before beginning an EiE unit and again after instruction was completed. Our results indicate that after the unit, students were significantly more likely to report interest in being an engineer when they grow up. They were also significantly more likely to report interest in and comfort with engineering skills. Multiple studies have shown that children who engage in EiE have a better understanding of what technology is.
I think what we've seen with the idea of technology and defining technology is that kids have a pretty strong idea that technology means high-tech or things that are electronic. But I wouldn't say that's only kids. I think teachers have that, I think adults have that.
The Next Generation Science Standards uses the word technology to describe all types of human-made objects. The term is attributed to anything created by people to solve a need or a want. The EiE curriculum presents a very similar definition. Our data show that most children, and many adults, have a more limited definition of technology. Children easily classify electronic items, such as computers and cell phones, as technologies. And they understand that natural things, like trees and birds, are not technologies. But they're confused about items like shoes or books, and they don't tend to classify them as technologies. After participating in EiE units, students come to a general understanding that even simple, non-electronic items are technologies.
I think the major change that happens for students after they've been introduced to EiE is they begin to ask themselves the question, well, I'm not sure if this is a technology, but does it solve a problem? Was it made by a person to solve a problem?
Once a child is aware that a simple everyday object is a technology, it becomes a very empowering experience for them.
I was in a 2nd grade classroom and it was the end of the day and we were cleaning up to go home, and the kids had been doing some EiE activities, and this little boy runs up to the teacher and he's holding his brown paper lunch bag, and he tries to get her attention and he says, "Look, my brown paper lunch bag, it's a technology too."
Before doing any EiE units, children tended to associate engineering work with tasks like constructing roads, repairing cars, or fixing computers.
Do we know what an engineer does? Matthew.
An engineer is someone who makes the cars, like a mechanic.
Okay.
Connections to more specialized types of work were missing from these children's conceptions. After doing an EiE unit, students correctly identified engineers as people who design, create, and improve technologies. These studies suggest that engaging in EiE prompts students to develop a more accurate and standards-based definition of engineering. This broader definition of STEM can open students' eyes to new possibilities. Early exposure and experience can encourage students to continue down engineering and science pathways. In another study, 46 EiE teachers were asked about the attitudes and engagement of students from populations who are underrepresented in STEM fields. The majority of these teachers reported that the performance and engagement of students from these groups was higher in EiE than it was in science or in school in general.
I have a lot of teachers who come to the workshops who've already taught EiE or have taught parts of EiE, and they say that they see kids who are not necessarily engaged in the science activities, that are not necessarily engaged in other subjects, but when they get to do the engineering and start the engineering challenges, they become almost like different students, and they're engaged and they're leading their group and they're not distracted, they're not causing any behavior problems, and so they can really see a difference, something about doing the engineering and getting that hands-on piece really motivates some kids.
I like engineering because you get to create stuff and learn, and you get to learn more too. You get to know a lot more when you engineer.
The EiE team is convinced that bringing engineering into the elementary classroom benefits students. They come to realize that engineers help make people's lives better.